Okay, I'm having a great chat. I am in Santa Barbara, California, as those of you who watch all over Southern California on Bravo, California, and I am chatting with pianist Clipper Erickson. He is in Birmingham, England. He is in a farmhouse yet already. He is in Birmingham. He's just given a recital, I guess. Didn't you do a recital or a lecture or something recently? What was that? Tell me briefly.
Well, yesterday I played a lunchtime recital at the Barber Institute of Fine Arts at the university. It's a
Mm.
beautiful hall with a world-class 9-foot Steinway. I played Rhapsody in Blue and some Chopin and, of course, Nathaniel Dett.
Yes, and that is the point of our conversation. Thank you, Clipper, for bringing us right to the point. Clipper has a project. It's his PhD. It's his doctoral project, but it's more important than that, and he's going to speak to it. But first, I want to make sure everybody understands this guy. I've known Clipper Erickson for at least 3 decades, four anyway. And I want to speak very. And Clipper has made lots of recordings, lots of CDs, wonderful American music CDs. Just very briefly, I want to speak to the integrity of this pianist's intellect. Okay, those of you who are about to hear our chat here about this Nathaniel Dett Piano Works project need not worry about the level of musicianship. Clipper Erickson is probably one of the most brilliant pianists I know, which who knows what that really means, but Clipper has an intellect and he plays intellectually. He studies works, and I know that you've played Rachmaninoff, you've played Brahms, and I have heard those performances, and they are always very unique, very interesting, very insightful, very intelligent. Now, let's talk about this Kickstarter project that you have launched, and that's the point of our interview here, to get people to subscribe to Clipper Erickson's project, the Nathaniel Dett project, and the name of the album. Tell me.
The name of the album is My Cup Runneth Over, the complete works of Robert Nathaniel Dett. Now, Nathaniel Dett is not a name that most people are going to know. He was an African descent composer, was born in Niagara Falls, Ontario in 1882, and grew up on the New York side of the falls, and became the first African descent person to graduate from Oberlin
Mm.
Conservatory with a degree in piano and composition. And his entire career was centered on historically black colleges, most notably Hampton Institute, which is now Hampton University in Virginia. And while he was there, he built a choir out of the kids who were studying there into a world-class ensemble. And he took that ensemble on tour to the Library of Congress and Carnegie Hall, and finally to Europe in 1930. He came here to England. He went to Germany, to the Salzburg Cathedral, to Paris. So he was a marvelous choir director, but beyond that, he was also a terrific pianist and wrote a great deal of piano works, which are wonderful and rather quite passed over, and very unjustly. It's really wonderful music with tremendous variety. So it's my mission to bring this music to life and to make the first complete recording. And it will be the first recording of all of Dett's piano music. It will be a full CD set. It's over 2 hours of music. I'm recording it in Germany, leaving for Germany tomorrow. Thank goodness the train strike is over. And so I have a world-class engineer and Hamburg Steinway there, great acoustics, a lot of big-name artists record in this place. So I wanted to give Dett the best. I've been there already in December, recording the first half of his works, and this coming week I'm going to be recording the second half of his works.
Now,
And
the beauty about Kickstarter is that people can pledge, and there's a goal in mind. I think your goal is $6,000. You're about a third of the way there, about $2,000, and pledge
yes.
toward underwriting this two CD set. But also, if you don't make the deadline, and that's June 25th, we have to raise that money, nobody has any obligation.
Yeah, nothing. Okay, so the deal with Kickstarter is crowdfunding. So this is a very new concept. It hasn't been around that long. So in crowdfunding, you put a project out there and you set a goal of funds to raise. And the idea is that you don't ask people just to give you money to do whatever. You ask people to give you money for the product that you are going to produce. And in this case, the product is the CD and the music and the recording. So in exchange for donations to this campaign, people will get CDs, they can get the 2D CD set, They can get the whole thing downloaded. If you don't want to give that much money, you can give $10 and get 10 tracks download, or you can give $25 and get all 37 tracks downloaded. If you want to give more, you can get more CDs, which will be signed by me, and also a photo album of all the places that I visited that were important to Dett, his grave site in Niagara Falls, Ontario, and the Nathaniel Dett Chapel in Niagara Falls, and also Hampton Institute where he worked, and photos of the recording site and all of our sessions. So I offer all these things in return for people donating money. So in a way, it's almost like advanced sales. So it helps me come up with the money that's necessary to underwrite the CD, to get it out there. I funded already the engineering and the mastering myself, but I need money to cover the pressing and the printing and the marketing costs for the CD. And it's a great company. Parma Recordings distributes on Naxos, so it'll be out there on all the download sites. So that's important to me, to get the music out there. That's my main object.
Yeah. Yes, and this is a composer well worth resurrecting, as you have said. His music is extraordinary, as you have told me, and I have heard from the 2 or 3 excerpts that you have let me see. And those who are watching this interview, beneath the interview, we're going to have all kinds of goodies, links and excerpts and everything, so that people will get an idea of who this guy Nathaniel Dett was, the type of music he composed, the level of Clipper Erickson's playing. By the way, I forgot to mention, debuted with the Young Musicians Foundation debut orchestra at the age of 19 in Los Angeles. For those of you in the LA area watching this, we're talking Juilliard, Yale. What's the other one? What's the other name drop? Indiana University.
Indiana. Yeah, Indiana, and most recently Temple, where I completed my DMA doing research on Dett. So he's been my passion for the last couple of years, to get his music out there.
And I'm not sure I asked you why.
Well, why? Because, well, for one thing, I like music that needs uncovering. It's not just Dett. I've done recordings of Cyril Scott, British composer that's been passed over for the last 50 years or so. I've done other American music that I find worthwhile. So I'm interested in this sort of thing, but I think Dett is something really special, because not only is it wonderful music, but there's messages in the music. His later works are very much about racial reconciliation and the oneness of humanity. And these messages are messages that we need right now, and not just in Dett's time, but we need them now more than ever. So this project has real meaning for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there are things like I've worked with the African dance person at Temple University to choreograph some of Dett's music. So there are a lot of follow-ons and projects that can come from this music.
Now let me throw out the website, and links will all be up on Bravo, California. But we're looking at www.clippererickson.com/Dett, and let's spell a couple names just to be clear. Clipper, double P, Clipper as in clipper ship, Erickson, C-K, right. S-O-N, Erickson, Dett.
Right, the Swedish version.
D-E-double-T. Right. So again, www.clippererickson.com/Dett, D-E-T-T, and you're going to get right there to be able to sign up and make a pledge with Kickstarter, I presume, for make a pledge for this project. Again, we have until June 25th. That's not much time, about a month. And this, obviously, as Clipper Erickson has made clear, is more than just a vanity project. This is a humanitarian project, if I dare use the word, in that this man needs to be recognized, as so many others do. But this is Clipper. This is what your real, as you said, this is kind of the most important project of your entire career at this point, I believe. Yeah.
Well, yeah, at least it's certainly the largest because of the sheer quantity of music that he wrote. And that's the source of the title, My Cup Runneth Over. The last piano work that he wrote in 1943 is actually a setting of Psalm 23. And that phrase is an excerpt from that psalm. And it's also a reference to the fact that he was so prolific, and not just as a musician. He was also a writer, a poet, a pianist, a choral director. He did so many things, a true Renaissance person. So his cup really did run over. So that's why I've chosen that title.
A tremendous genius, a tremendous talent, multi-talented, and if I may say so at this point, very few people know of him. You mentioned something about the African American community and choristers, knowing perhaps Nathaniel Dett a little better than the public at large. Can you run through that once more?
He was very involved with arranging spirituals, and at that period, back in the teens and the 20s, about 100 years ago, that was a very important movement, where spirituals were, again, this was sort of homeless music. Nobody wanted to own it, nobody cared about it. So it was the work of people like Dett and also John Work and Rosamond Johnson and people like that who arranged these spirituals to get it and get them out into the larger consciousness. That's why we sing "Go Tell It on the Mountain" at Christmas time. It's because of those people. If it weren't for them, we would not know this. So Dett was very active in that, and his choral music is well known, particularly in the African American community. I don't call him African American because he's technically Canadian, and the Canadians don't particularly like that. And there is also a wonderful choral group in Toronto called the Nathaniel Dett Chorale that specializes in doing his music. So we don't want to say that he's African American because we don't really quite own him.
Yeah, I see. I see. Now, give me an idea. You know, you're a professional pianist. You play Brahms, you play Rachmaninoff, all the big repertoire, Samuel Barber Concerto. What is Dett's the big pieces? What kind of a challenge does Dett present for you as a professional pianist?
Well, Dett's music is not, it's not so large and it's not so technically demanding as, say, Rachmaninoff Third or the Barber Concerto, but it's intellectually demanding because there are many hidden messages in the music that you have to uncover. And also, his style went through tremendous changes throughout his life. So you have to understand what his references are and who he's speaking to. The early suites, they're 6 piano suites. The early suites are much more romantic, much more rooted in MacDowell and Amy Beach and that style. And then he starts to get a little bit more involved with modernism. You hear a little bit more of Debussy, even of some of the English composers, because he was associated with Percy Grainger, the great Australian pianist. So there's a lot of eclecticism in that music. There's a lot of different styles that you have to master, you have to understand. Also, it's interesting recording music that's never been recorded before, because you don't have recordings to go to and say, I like the way they did that, I don't like the way they did that, so, and then come up with your own reaction to it. You have to come up with it all on your own.
And
it's really...
And I, for one, trust.
It's the first ground zero.
Yeah, we have a little bit of delay. It must be a passing spaceship of some kind over Birmingham as we speak. And I just wanted to add that I have a great deal of trust in your musicianship, in your playing. I'm going to tell you this right now. You made it very clear to my audience how you go about looking for hidden messages, and I can say that I hear in your performances of Brahms and Rachmaninoff things I have never heard before. So you are that kind of an intellectual. You really get into the sub-basement of these musical texts, these musical essays, these statements about mankind and life and the whole damn thing. That's why I admire you so much as a pianist, and this is a fabulous project. Clipper Erickson, pianist, what else do you have to say to me before we call it an end of the interview?
Well, all I can say is go to the Kickstarter site. There's a video there. Even if you don't give money, you can find out what Dett's all about. You can listen to some excerpts. I also have excerpts of Dett on YouTube to listen to. So that's my main object, is to get the music out there.
Yeah.
And for me, interpreting music, there's no option. You have to get to the sub-basement of the music. It's not enough to just simply do what somebody else did. Why do that?
Absolutely.
There's no point.
Absolutely. Once more, www.clippererickson.com/Dett. I'm going to put up all kinds of stuff underneath this interview so that people will really get a fast track to the Kickstarter site to help subscribe. You get all kinds of goodies. There are all kinds of categories. I think Clipper just mentioned, you can give practically nothing and still get something back for your pledge. And again, if we don't raise the full amount, there's no risk. on the part of
Right.
those who
So if I
subscribe.
don't
Yeah,
if I don't get there, then nobody's credit card gets charged. And the whole idea behind Kickstarter is they want to be sure that you can finish the project.
yeah,
They don't want people donating money to things that aren't completed because you didn't raise all the money.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
the idea
So
is you have to have funds to complete it.
very, very,
So it's
very
a good concept.
sensible. Yeah. Listen, we are having we're starting to fade just a little bit, so I think we'd better end the conversation. Clipper Erickson, great fun talking to you as always, and you are a really forward-thinking, I think, musician and intellectual. We'll have other conversations about the new music that you record all the time, on and on and on. To say nothing of this two-CD. It's a two-CD set, the complete piano music of Nathaniel Dett. Fabulous. I've heard some of the pieces that are ready now, and again, the recording standard, the highest.
Yeah,
The music.
it's really is the highest. This guy records for major artists. He's doing other recordings here in Europe of top people. So
Yeah,
this is top quality.
yeah, yeah. And we have a top quality pianist, if I may say so. Even though we're friends and I've known you for so long,
Thank
but,
you,
you know.
Dan. You're so kind.
Anyway, wonderful, nice chatting with you. You're off to You're off to Munich, are you? Next to continue some recording. I was going to
To
begin.
close. Neumarkt
Oh,
is where the recording venue is. It's in Bavaria.
all
So
right.
I'm off there tomorrow.
Okay. Clipper, thanks much for some time. I love the farmhouse you're staying in. How lucky can you get with musical
Yeah, it's
colleagues?
beautiful out. The weather hasn't been so bad. It's been actually rather sunny, and it's out kind of in the country. We've had some nice
Oh,
drives. It's really just kind of the English countryside.
fabulous. And we'll see you soon back in the United States. All right.
Right. I'll be back and coming out to California at the end of June also.
Oh, so I get to see you too in the flesh. Great.
Yeah, we
Okay.
get to see each other in person.
Okay. I'll see you. Thanks. Thanks much. Bye.
Okay.